What if your blood knows more about you than your conscious mind could ever explain? Have you ever paused, truly paused, and wondered whether the simple words first, second, third, or fourth blood type hide something far deeper than a medical category on a clinic form? What if those numbers are not just clinical labels? What if they are symbols? What if they are whispers from a deeper layer of your identity, psychological, emotional, and possibly even spiritual? Carl Jung believed that the unconscious speaks in symbols, subtle, multi-layered messages woven into the patterns of our everyday lives. If that is true, then could your blood type be one of those symbols? A quiet but powerful sign of your archetypal nature? In this exploration, we are not simply talking about physiology. We are stepping into a place where ancient biological codes meet timeless psychological insight. A place where every drop of blood could contain a map, a hidden compass guiding you toward a clearer understanding of who you are and where your life is pulling you. Your blood type isn't just a cold number written on a medical record. It might be a reflection of your inner architecture, your emotional landscape, your spiritual orientation. A subtle imprint of your natural tendencies, your instinctive reactions, your hidden strengths, and even the challenges you were born to overcome. Before we go deeper, we must ask one essential question. Why blood? Why has blood been given such immense symbolic power across centuries and civilizations? Blood is not just a biological fluid. It is a story, your story, written into the fabric of your existence. It carries ancestry, instinct, memory. It is the river that nourishes the body and mirrors the unseen movements of the psyche. Jung, who spent his life exploring the bridge between the visible and the invisible, would likely see blood as one of the most potent symbols carried within the physical form. Its constant circulation reflects the constant motion of the unconscious, the currents inside you that shape your choices long before they reach awareness. Here, in this meeting point of biology and psychology, we find a surprising harmony, a space where Eastern and Western philosophies quietly intertwine. Long before Jung's ideas entered Western psychology, Japan developed its own mysterious perspective on blood. According to the work of Takeshi Furukawa and the theory of Ketsueki Gata, a person's blood type influences not only health, but personality, behavior, emotional patterns, and even destiny. To many, this sounds like folklore, a cultural myth, something charming but unscientific. Yet, when we look through Jung's symbolic lens, the picture changes. Suddenly, this idea becomes something deeper, a psychological resonance. Two traditions, separated by oceans, speaking the same symbolic language from different angles. The Japanese blood type typology and Jung's archetypal system mirror each other like reflections in opposing mirrors. This is not superstition. It is pattern. It is the repetition of human nature across time and culture. And when you begin to recognize these patterns, they stop being symbols. They become doorways. Doorways into a more profound understanding of yourself. All of this invites us toward the heart of Jungian psychology, the journey he called individuation. Not becoming someone new, but returning to who you truly are. Not escaping your shadow, but integrating it. Not chasing perfection, but embracing wholeness. What if your blood type, symbolically, not medically, is one of the clues on that journey? Not a rulebook, not a strict identity, but a gentle compass pointing toward the lessons your life naturally draws you toward. In the next parts, we'll explore each blood type as a psychological archetype, A, B, AB, and O, through the lens of Jung's symbolic world. Blood type A carries a symbolic energy that resonates with structure, clarity, and order. If your blood type is A, imagine your inner world as a carefully designed landscape. Paths that connect, systems that hold together, meanings that align in precise and intentional ways. In Jungian language, this is the realm of the sage and the architect of order. People with this archetype don't simply prefer stability, they thrive in it. They draw strength from organization, from deliberate action, from knowing how the pieces fit together. Their minds work like finely tuned instruments, registering patterns others overlook and assembling them into coherent forms. These individuals aren't loud leaders or flamboyant personalities. Their influence is quieter, steadier, yet far more enduring. In families, workplaces, creative teams, they often become the silent center of gravity, the anchor that holds chaotic energies in place. While others react impulsively, they analyze. While others scatter, they align. While others rush, they refine. This is the gift of the architect, the ability to create harmony where others see only fragments, the ability to restore direction when things fall apart, the ability to build meaning out of complexity. And yet, like every bright archetype, this one also casts a shadow. For those with blood type A, the real danger is control. Not control over others, but control over life itself. When the inner need for order becomes too rigid, discipline turns into restriction. Precision becomes pressure. Stability hardens into self-imposed confinement. Perfectionism can become a cage. Fear of chaos can silence spontaneity. Emotional restraint can become emotional numbness. Jung teaches that wholeness is born from integrating opposites. For the architect, this means learning to let life move without forcing every outcome, trusting the unpredictable. Allowing disorder to enter the room without interpreting it as danger. Seeing that uncertainty is not an enemy, but a necessary part of a higher equilibrium. When individuals with blood type A embrace this balance, order, and flow, they step into their full potential. They become not just builders of systems, but builders of wisdom. Not just keepers of structure, but creators of harmony that breathes. If blood type A seeks meaning and structure, then blood type B seeks truth in movement. These are the souls who bloom in freedom, intuition, and creative expression. Their inner compass doesn't point toward control or predictability. It points toward experience, discovery, and the wide open spaces where life reveals itself through motion. Symbolically, this is the archetype of the seeker, the wanderer who learns by following the call of curiosity. These individuals thrive when they can choose their own pace, their own path, their own unique rhythm. They do not merely think outside the box, they forget the box ever existed. People with blood type B often carry a natural brightness that awakens energy wherever they go. Like a sudden breeze stirring the air, they bring freshness into any environment that has grown stagnant. Their mind is flexible, their intuition finely tuned, their creativity alive and unrestrained. Yet this flexibility is not chaos. It is a deep sensitivity to inner signals, an instinctive ability to navigate life emotionally, spiritually, imaginatively. Jung would say that this form of intuition is one of the purest expressions of the unconscious moving through a human soul. It appears in sudden ideas, in spontaneous decisions, in flashes of inspiration that cannot be explained logically, but feel absolutely right. However, every archetype carries its challenge. For the explorer, the shadow appears as instability. Constant movement can become avoidance. Freedom can dissolve into lack of commitment. The desire for novelty can scatter their strength across too many directions. They may struggle to stay present long enough to build something lasting. They may drift away from relationships, responsibilities, opportunities, not out of indifference, but out of restlessness. The path to wholeness for blood type B lies in learning to stay, to pause, to root, to breathe into the moment without running from it. The explorer discovers depth only when they allow stillness into their life. Not the stillness of limitation, but the stillness that nourishes intuition and gives their gifts a true foundation. When they master this balance, movement and presence, they become extraordinary creators, healers, innovators, and storytellers. Their life becomes not just a journey, but a meaningful odyssey. Now we arrive at the rarest blood type of all, AB. Symbolically, this type carries a unique duality, a merging of opposites that few people naturally embody. Where type A gravitates toward structure and type B toward freedom, type AB lives at the crossroads between the two. They do not merely switch between these energies, they contain both at once. In Jungian psychology, this mirrors the archetype of the alchemist, the one who transforms, reconciles, and unifies forces that appear contradictory. These individuals often feel like they are made of two worlds, logic and intuition, reason and emotion, discipline and spontaneity. This inner paradox does not weaken them, it enriches them. People with blood type AB can see multiple levels of meaning at the same time. They understand perspectives that others miss. They notice the nuances, the hidden patterns, the subtleties between extremes. It's as if their mind and spirit were designed to translate between the rational and the mystical, the structured and the chaotic. Because of this, they often become natural mediators, bridges between people, ideas, and realities that normally clash. They bring depth to conversations that others oversimplify. They illuminate shades of gray where the world sees only black and white. But such complexity comes with its own shadow. For the alchemist, the challenge lies in identity and boundaries. When you are capable of understanding everything, it becomes easy to lose sight of what is truly yours. When you can adapt to any situation, you may forget which version of yourself is authentic. When your heart and mind hold many voices, the danger is becoming overwhelmed by all of them. Exhaustion, emotional overload, inner confusion. These are the trials of the AB soul. Jung would say that the task of this archetype is to find an inner center of gravity, a place within that does not shift, even as everything else does, not by rejecting their dual nature, but by anchoring it, by giving the contradictions a home instead of fighting them. When an AB individual discovers that inner center, they become radiant. They move through life with a rare wisdom, a wisdom born not from certainty, but from integration. They show others that the human spirit is not meant to choose between its parts, but to merge them into something higher. The alchemist's journey is not easy, but it is sacred. Their gift to the world is perspective, depth, wholeness. Blood type O is considered the oldest, the ancestral root from which all other blood types emerged. Symbolically, this age-old origin carries a primal force, something raw, instinctive, and powerful. It is as if type O holds within it the memory of survival, the pulse of ancient strength, the unmistakable presence of someone born to act rather than hesitate. In Jungian terms, this is the archetype of the hero, or even the warrior. These individuals are driven by clarity of purpose, determination, and an inner fire that pushes them forward when others freeze. Their energy is direct, their intentions sharp, their instincts tuned for action. Type O individuals often enter a room with a presence you can feel before they speak. There is confidence in their posture, focus in their eyes, momentum in their decisions. They are built for movement, for challenge, for stepping into the unknown with courage rather than fear. Where others hesitate, they advance. Where others doubt, they commit. Where others overthink, they simply act. Their psyche interacts with the world in a straightforward, sensory-driven way. They trust what they can see, touch, and prove. They transform ideas into results, intentions into action, vision into reality. This is the energy of manifestation, the will that shapes the world. But every powerful archetype carries an equally powerful shadow. For the hero, the danger lies in excessive force. Confidence can slip into rigidity, courage can turn into aggression, determination can silence empathy. A drive for victory can overshadow awareness of others' pain. When the inner warrior is unbalanced, strength becomes domination, and boldness becomes blindness. Jung would say that the path of the hero is not only to conquer the outer world, but to confront the battles within, to look directly into the shadow they carry and transform it rather than deny it. The real hero is not defined by how many challenges they defeat, but by whether they can also defeat their own pride, their own impulses, their own unexamined fire. For blood type O, the journey toward individuation, the path to inner wholeness, requires blending strength with compassion, action with reflection, confidence with vulnerability. When they learn this balance, they become extraordinary, not just warriors, but protectors, not just leaders, but guides, not just forces of will, but forces of meaning. A balanced hero inspires not fear, but trust. They move mountains, but also heal. They lead, but also listen. And now, having explored all 4 archetypes, we return to the core question: what does your blood truly tell you about yourself? Now that we've explored the 4 archetypes, A, the architect, B, the explorer, AB, the alchemist, and O, the hero, we return to the deeper question beneath all the symbolism. What is your blood actually trying to tell you? Your blood type is, medically speaking, a biological fact, but symbolically, it can serve as a mirror, one that reflects aspects of your inner landscape, your instinctive tendencies, and your psychological path. It doesn't define you, yet it may illuminate patterns that have shaped you long before you understood why you behaved, reacted, or felt the way you did. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious speaks to us through symbols, images, patterns, metaphors that appear again and again throughout cultures and throughout time. Blood, as one of the earliest and most powerful symbols in human history, carries emotional and spiritual weight far beyond its physical function. Across civilizations, from ancient tribes to modern rituals, blood has symbolized life, identity, lineage, sacrifice, transformation, connection. It is the river of the body, flowing through every organ, every thought, every breath. It ties you to your ancestors and, symbolically, to the collective unconscious that Jung described, a deep reservoir of archetypes and universal human experiences. So when we speak of blood type as a psychological symbol, we are not claiming that biology determines your personality. We are inviting you to see it as a metaphor, a symbol that reveals how your psyche moves, what it seeks, what it avoids, and what it must integrate to become whole. Maybe your blood type is not telling you who you are, but reminding you of who you are becoming. If your blood type resonates with an archetype, if type A's structure feels familiar, If type B's freedom sparks recognition, if type AB's duality echoes your inner contradictions, if type O's strength mirrors your drive, then maybe that resonance is not random. Maybe it is your unconscious speaking in the only language it trusts. Symbolism. Understanding these archetypes is not about putting yourself in a box. It is about recognizing the energies that flow through you. It is about understanding why certain life lessons repeat themselves, why certain roles feel natural or draining, why specific relationships and challenges push you toward growth. Because behind every pattern in your life, behind every instinct, every fear, every attraction, there is a story unfolding, a story your unconscious has been trying to tell you for years. If we follow Jung's teachings, every symbol that appears in our life, whether in dreams, intuition, or even in something as seemingly ordinary as a blood type, can act as a guide. Not a prediction, not a fixed destiny, but a compass pointing toward the direction in which our inner growth naturally unfolds. Your blood type, when viewed symbolically, may reveal what energies come easily to you, what challenges repeatedly test you, what strengths you tend to rely on, what shadows you often avoid, what lessons life keeps bringing back, and what inner work leads toward your wholeness. This is the essence of individuation, Jung's great lifelong insight. Individuation is not about becoming perfect. It is not about becoming strong, wise, or fearless. It is about becoming whole, integrating every part of who you are. The conscious and the unconscious, the light and the shadow, the instinct and the intellect. Your symbolic blood type archetype can serve as a map for this journey. If you are type A, the architect, your growth lies in allowing spontaneity, accepting imperfection, and welcoming unpredictability. Your individuation occurs when order and intuition begin to dance instead of fight. If you are type B, the explorer, your growth lies in grounding yourself, learning consistent presence, and holding commitments with your heart, not just your excitement. Your individuation occurs when freedom becomes depth, not escape. If you are type AB, the alchemist, your growth lies in anchoring your identity, setting boundaries, and learning to be one whole self instead of many fragments. Your individuation occurs when opposites merge into a stable center. If you are type O, the hero, your growth lies in softening force with empathy, combining action with introspection, and transforming power into compassion. Your individuation occurs when strength becomes wisdom, not dominance. When viewed through this symbolic lens, your blood type becomes less like a label and more like a teacher. It shows you where your soul feels at home, where your psyche stumbles, where your shadow lives, where your power sleeps, and where your inner truth is waiting. Individuation is not a path you walk once. It is a lifelong conversation with yourself, a gradual awakening to what has always lived inside you. Now that the archetypes have been explored and the path of individuation illuminated, it's time to bring everything together, to weave the threads into one coherent, living picture of who you are becoming. Your blood type, symbolically speaking, is not a rule book. It is not a limitation. It is a mirror, a poetic reflection of the forces shaping your inner world. When you look at these archetypes, the architect, the explorer, the alchemist, the hero, you are not choosing an identity. You are recognizing patterns that echo throughout your decisions, relationships, failures, breakthroughs, and private moments of truth. These archetypes are not boxes. They are doors. Doors to self-awareness. doors to the shadow you've avoided, doors to the inner gifts you've forgotten, doors to the life you were always meant to build. And through these doors, we all enter the same human journey. The journey Jung called the return to the self. The architect's synthesis, type A. Their story is a story of balance, the slow, courageous act of releasing control while preserving clarity. They learn that order without intuition is brittle, but intuition without order never rises. The explorer's synthesis, type B. Their story is about presence, the discipline of staying grounded long enough to create meaning from inspiration. They learn that movement without depth is escape, but depth without movement is stagnation. The alchemist's synthesis, type AB. Their story is about integration, uniting contradictions into a stable identity. They learn that complexity without center becomes chaos, but center without complexity becomes emptiness. The hero's synthesis, type O. Their story is about compassion, tempering power with humility and listening. They learn that strength without softness becomes violence, but softness without strength becomes surrender. Each archetype carries its own shadow, but inside that shadow is the key to transformation. This is the great Jungian truth. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is your unfinished self. And your blood type archetype shows you where that shadow waits. The question you must now face is simple, but profound. What is your blood calling you toward? Where is it nudging you to grow? What parts of yourself is it inviting you to reclaim? Your blood does not dictate your fate, but it may be whispering the lessons that your unconscious already knows you must face. We have traveled far, from the biology of blood to the psychology of symbols, from Jung's archetypes to the quiet inner truths that shape each of us. And now, as we reach the end of this journey, one final insight rises above all the others. Your blood type does not define you, but the meaning you discover in it can transform you. In every drop of your blood flows a story, a symbolic thread connecting your instincts, your emotions, your choices, and the patterns that have followed you throughout your life. It is not a prophecy, but a metaphor, not a command, but a compass. Carl Jung taught that the goal of life is not perfection, but integration, the gathering of all your parts into one authentic, conscious, grounded self. Your blood type archetype is simply one lens through which to view this integration, a way to understand the forces that pull you forward, the shadows that hold you back, the strengths you rely on, the wounds you carry, the lessons life keeps repeating, and the person you are slowly, steadily becoming. Maybe your blood type helped you see a side of yourself you've ignored. Or maybe it explained a pattern you've always sensed, but never named. Or maybe it simply reminded you that your inner world is deeper, richer, more symbolic than you imagined. Whatever resonated with you, take it with you. Reflect on it. Sit with it. Let it settle inside you like a seed waiting for the right season to grow. And now, one final invitation. Share your thoughts. Share your story. Share the blood type you carry and the archetype that spoke to you. Because when we express what we discover about ourselves, we anchor that truth more deeply into our lives. If this exploration moved you, inspired you, or opened new insight, consider subscribing, sharing your reflections in the comments, and continuing this journey toward self-awareness and inner mastery. Your blood may whisper symbols, but you are the one who turns those whispers into a path.